All right, we're live on Facebook. We're live on Instagram. Hello, good morning. My name is Dustin Jones. I am co-lead faculty of the Older Adult Division. With my partner in crime, Christina Previtt, we teach Modern Management of the Older Adult. That is the 2-day live weekend course and also the 8-week online cohort. We've got a tiny little break right now. We're revamping some of the material. I'm really excited about that. We're going to be head out to the LA area in a couple weeks, and then we're going to Minneapolis and Wyoming and New York and Bozeman, Montana, and all over the place. It's kind of crazy. So we'd love to see you if you're in those areas. Good morning, Kristen. So I wanted to talk a little bit about screening today. There was an interesting article that came out, published ahead of print in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy. Good morning, Rebecca. And I just wanted to highlight that just because I feel like this is an important topic and one that's debated pretty consistently, I feel, in our profession, because screening it can be a big deal for some folks. So just for some background for those that aren't aware, the APTA House of Delegates passed a resolution, and I'm just going to read this verbatim, stating that physical therapists should conduct annual screens of individuals focused on optimizing movement, promoting health and wellness, and slowing the progression of impairments in body functions. So advocating that every year someone should see a physical therapist, and that is good for them, and that is a good use of healthcare dollars. And that has been argued over and debated pretty heavily, especially when we make this blanket statement. It's hard to really justify an annual screen, I think, for people that may be younger. You may not find something that may be, how would I put this? The upside of potentially influencing is minimal as compared to some of the folks that I work with or that you may work with in the outpatient setting. Let's say people that, 50 up, 55 and up, that you can really identify some things, whether it's, weakness or slow gait speed or balance impairment that can really influence, the trajectory of their life or a risk of a fall. So I think for the folks that I work with, an annual screen is awesome. We definitely need to be incorporating more of that in our arena, but also, collaborate with the physicians. I give a thumbs up to the annual screen, but a lot of older adults are already getting an annual screen. So you'll typically see screening tools for certain cancers, cardiac disease, cognitive impairment, alcohol abuse, falls risk, impaired vision, some of those things. And if once someone comes on to Medicare, when they're 65 and up, they have that Welcome to Medicare examination where they kind of get this all-encompassing screen where they identify some of those factors. And that's a paid-for service that they get annually. And so what we are trying to do in the PT community is kind of slide into that. It's trying to be a part of that Welcome to Medicare examination or some type of screening that the insurance companies will see value in and will pay for, but also that people will pay for out of pocket. Now, that's where we're hoping to go. Has it been studied much? Not really. What screens are we going to do? No one really knows. We got all kinds of options, but there hasn't been that much of a consensus. But I want to give a hat tip and a shout out to Dr. Carol Lewis. So for those that aren't aware of Carol Lewis, if there is a Mount Rushmore of physical therapists, especially of folks that work with older adults, she would definitely be on it. She had an amazing talk at, I think it was APTA Next a couple years ago, just talking about some of the issues in our profession and how we need to better serve older adults. So with my biases, I freaking love the woman. So I've got to talk to her a couple times in person and on a podcast, and just really respect her and her work. And she teaches courses, so great seminars. She has books, online live courses, but she's developed a screen. So it started off as a moving target screen, but now it's called the AFIT for short, but the Adult Functional Independence Test. And so I've got a friend, Mike Putoff, who teaches at St. Ambrose University in Iowa, that wanted to see kind of the effectiveness of the AFIT screen, but also people's perception. And I think that's something that we really need to consider. How do people perceive our skills? How do they perceive our ability to help them? And how do they perceive the value of coming to see someone like me once a year? Okay, so that's what this study looks at, and I just want to break this down and just have a few talking points related to that. So this was, it's published ahead of print. It's titled Participants' Perceptions and the Implementation of a Physical Fitness Screen for aging adults, and that's Mike Putoff. Mike, shout out to Mike Putoff. He's one of the first people that I came across when I started to do the Senior Rehab Project, which is now Jairus Health, the podcast 3-4 years ago. He was one of the first people talking about power training in older adults. I found a presentation that he did at the state level, I believe, and connected with him. So shout out to him. He's been preaching a lot of this stuff for a while now. But he published this in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy. 2 objectives for this. So I'll just read these. Examine aging adults' perception of a physical therapist-led physical fitness screening tool, in particular the AFIT. Okay, so the Adult Independence Fitness Test. A little more information on that AFIT. It is not short. It's not a quick screen. It has 15 components that they're looking at, all the way from posture to checking ankle dorsiflexion to someone's abdominal strength endurance to gait speed to 30-second sit to stand. I mean, it is not short, but it's very comprehensive. But it contains a lot of evidence-based tests, measures that we commonly use. So what she has done, Carol Lewis, is basically packaged this up in a very clean format. There's others that have done the same thing. So if you remember the senior athlete fitness exam that I talked about, I think that was probably the end of June is when I was out at the National Senior Games. Becca Georgery has developed that. And it's kind of similar. The SAFE is much more abbreviated, much quicker to go through. And it's nothing new. It's just people are packaging up some of these well-researched measures that we have to create a very good screen. So the SAFE is one, AFIT is one, the senior fitness test could be another one as well. So the second objective of the study was to examine the practicality and the implementation of the AFIT, taking into consideration time requirements and the ability of the test components to identify deficits. Alex, good morning. Okay, so this study was not large, all right? So 37 people. So take all this with a grain of salt, but I think it had some good discussion points. So 26 females and 11 males. They were around the age of 59 was kind of the average. Between 50, 64 was where they were. And so what they did is they took people through the AFIT. They discussed their results at the end and gave them an action plan. And then they followed up a week later with some more material based on their results, but then also a survey. So these people complete a survey 1 week later, so not too far after, so they knew, or that experience was still fresh in their mind. So what they found, what Mike found, was that participants strongly agreed that the screen was beneficial, useful, and worth their time. So they had basically 1 to 5, 5 being strongly agree, and 1 being strongly disagree. And for the most part, people just put 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. When I see that, I think about some of the surveys that I've filled out before of something that I may not be heavily invested in. I'm just boom, 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 be done with it, give them their feedback, which is not really great feedback. So I wonder if that was the case with this, but they strongly agreed that the screen was beneficial, useful, and worth their time. Now, 58%, 21 people said they would repeat the AFIT annually. So 21 out of 37 said that they would come back and do the AFIT again. So you start to think there, okay, what are they really thinking here? And then only 42% said they would actually pay for this service. Let that sink in. So 42% said they would actually pay money out of their pocket for this service, which is something that we need to think about and consider. For those that did, say they would pay money, let's see, 13 people said they would pay $1 to $50 to spend that amount of time with folks. There was 10 people that said they'd spend $50 to $100. There were 7 people that said they spent $100 to $200. And then there was 1 person that said they would pay $200 to $300 for an annual fitness screen, which I found that kind of interesting as well. Now, the average session length was 75 minutes. I know for you all there in the outpatient setting, or heck, for even me in the home health setting, like 75 minutes, come on now, like that's a long time, especially if you're seeing 2, 3, 4 patients an hour. Where in the world are you going to find that time? And so I think that's a big hiccup with this. Now, they broke it down in terms of where the time was spent. So the interview was 8 minutes. Vitals and BMI were about 4 minutes. The screening portion took about 30, 33 minutes, and the discussion took 30. So they mentioned this in the article that you can, delegate some of these tasks to some ancillary staff, which can shorten this up. So I think can definitely make this much more efficient. But I mean, I'd be hard pressed to see if you could get this done in less than 30 minutes, honestly. I got to see this screen before Carol published it, and it's super thorough and extensive. But time is a big issue. So 75 minutes was the average with this one. So I want to mention one more thing, and we'll kind of talk about takeaways from this. They also asked, why did you want to participate in this study? Why did you want to get your annual fitness screen? 20 people, so 20 out of 37, what they said was they wanted to seek feedback on overall fitness. That's all they wanted, feedback on overall fitness. 16 people said there's an area of concern surrounding their fitness. Okay, and now 8 people were concerned with aging changes. 8 people were actually concerned about things that we typically talk about. Your decreased balance capacity due to age-related changes, your falls risk, your sensation, blah, blah, blah. All these things that we kind of geek out about. We talk so much about prevention, age-related changes. Those people, there's only 8 of those that came because of their concern about those things. But 20 out of the 37 people said, I just want feedback on my overall fitness. That's why I came here. So I think there's some lessons we can learn here. So the big takeaways from this very small study, we don't want to hang our hat on this, but I just found some interesting observations made from this study, is that this screen, in particular the AFit, people may find it valuable, but in terms of enough value to fork over money, it was not very conclusive. There was only 42% of the folks that said they would actually pay money. So we need to think about how we structure these screens, and we can talk about the AFit, you can talk about the SAFE, whatever you want to use to leverage to gather good data, to give people feedback, but also to be able to raise a red flag of these people need a particular intervention. We need to make this thing quick. I feel like we need to make it very efficient, very quick, and shorter than 75 minutes, which there's ways that we can do that, especially if we're going to leverage ancillary staff. We want to really emphasize the solutions. How can we make your life better? We talk about building the bike here at ICE, of being able to demonstrate change quickly. I think that would be a very big portion of this in terms of the discussion piece of some type of screen. How can you demonstrate your value quickly? If you just run someone through a screen, the only thing that you're going to demonstrate is your ability to find faults. How does that make you feel at the end of the day as a consumer? Not that great. I want solutions, and I want to know that you're able to change my life for the better. How can you do that within that very quick, short period of time? Now, I know it may be challenging, but we need to think about it, and it could potentially be done. I mention this a lot in terms of building the bike in Jerry PT. That may be as simple as showing someone a different method to get out of a chair where they don't necessarily need to use their hands, whether it's positioning, leveraging momentum, bracing. I mean, it could be all kinds of different things to help them come out of a chair. So that's something that we can use to build the bike for these folks. Show your value quickly. We need to build the bike as quickly as possible. A critique of this was that when they offered solutions for these folks that the average age was 59 years old. When I hear of a 59-year-old, I think that's a young individual. The youngest person on my caseload right now is 85 years old. So 59 is like a baby for me. But what they handed out was an elastic band. For people that had strength deficits, they gave them TheraBand. Now, we hate on TheraBand a lot. TheraBand does have its place. You can definitely improve strength with certain folks with certain types of movements or muscles with TheraBand. But with 59-year-olds, man, I feel like they need some iron, which I know you're not going to be handing out kettlebells, but that's something that we can offer within our clinic doors of saying, hey, we can really get you on a solid strength training program that's actually going to improve some of these results and improve your function and your resilience. And it's probably going to include some type of barbell or a kettlebell or a dumbbell, for example. But the TheraBand, that's not the most potent tool that we have to really, impact someone's life, especially when I think of a 59-year-old. So that's something that I would think about. How do we demonstrate change quickly, build the bike, show that we can make their life better within that session, but then also offer them potent solutions that are really going to get them results. Also, and they spoke to this really well in the article, is to really speak to their why. What are people ready to change? What do they want to change? And just because you may identify some deficit in grip strength, for example, they may not necessarily want to improve on their overall strength, and we need to respect that. So they talked a lot about some of the general principles of motivational interviewing that was really great. So I think we need to consider that with a lot of these screens. And just really speak to their goals and their desires and really to their overall fitness, and not necessarily to these age-related changes that we're always harping in terms of, trying to prevent falls and whatnot. And I can speak to that too, just from personal experience. When I was screening people at the National Senior Games, my job was kind of the front desk person, just to chat with people and kind of get them checked in before they went through the rest of the exam. And what I found in talking to these people, they were just curious of where they were and how they compared to other people. Granted, these were national competitive athletes in their sport. They weren't worried about falls. They typically will just get up from a fall. They weren't necessarily worried about their balance or their gait speed. They just wanted to see how they were overall comparatively to other people in their peer group. And that could potentially be a driver for a lot of folks, that are just out in the community. So we can really speak to that. So that's all I got today. Screening. I hope you think about screening. I hope you think about how you can identify someone that may be at risk for some type of functional decline or a fall, grip strength, gait speed, timed up and go, 30 seconds at the stand, some of those things that we talked about on this podcast. I hope you consider it. But we definitely still need to research this annual screen concept and what we are going to use, who it's good for, and how can we package this up to where it's perceived well by the public, to where they're willing to value it, implement it, use that information, and ultimately, pay some money for it, because it is a valuable service, but we have to package it up to where they actually see the value. So that's all I got. I will post the link to that study in the Facebook video. And after this, I'm going to go check my email inbox, because Jeff Moore just sent me Hump Day Hustling. So every Wednesday at 8:30 in the morning, Hump Day Hustling is the email that Jeff kind of curates. He asks, hey, all the ICE faculty, what pertinent research articles, blog posts, podcasts, social media posts have you found helpful for your work this week? Send them to me. We send him ideas. He picks the 5 best and links them and then sends the email. Very short, sweet, succinct. There's a very short list of upcoming courses at the bottom of that email. Very, very helpful and very quick to read. So if you want that delivered straight to your inbox, go to ptonice.com, go to the bottom, name, email, boom. No spam, just the goods. All right. I'll talk to you all in a couple weeks. Take care.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.